Hello there, Honors U.S. History students. Today we're going to do class a little bit differently. I'm pre-recording this, but I will be available through Remind to answer any of your questions as you have them. As we get started for today, I am going to go over something that I went over on Tuesday in class, but not everyone was watching that part or weren't in the Zoom at that point or anything like that. So I'm going to go over it again. Where do you find things? So most days you're going to see on your class board on this side of your CTLS, you're going to see what we are doing. So this is what we did on Wednesday. This is what we did on Tuesday, right? And then to find where we're going to go to join a session, etc., we're always going to go over here to our digital sessions on the left-hand side. So when we click there, the only thing you'll see here is Honors Unit 2. When you click into Honors Unit 2, if we are starting a live class, it's going to say Join Live Class right here. It's going to be lit up in green, and you click on that and you join our class, right? And every day, all of our assignments or what we are doing are going to be here day by day for the entire unit. So if you were not doing all your things on Tuesday, this is where you're going to find the unit packet. Right, so you're going to download it from here. Our notes on Washington, find that right here. The Nearpod activity that was on Washington, right, is right here. All right, then on Wednesday, you had your working on the President section and vocab on your packet. Right, again, the link is up here. And then today we have notes on Jefferson. And actually this part here, this Nearpod activity assignment, we're not going to do that, right, because Nearpod was having a few issues yesterday. So we're going to skip that part and we're just going to focus on notes on Jefferson and Adams and then work on those President sections in our packet when we are done. But then you can see we're doing the War of 1812 on Friday, and then our quiz over the first 5 presidents is going to be on Monday, right? And so then you can also see on here, when is our packet due, the first part of it. It's due on Monday the 21st, and then our test over part 1 of this unit will be on Tuesday the 22nd. And then again, you can see when is our fall break, right? When are the other packets and things due? All are going to be listed right there for you guys, right? And at any point, if you're like, okay, I have an assignment that's due, where do I put it? You can go to assignments here on this tab, or you can go to lesson assignments up here. If you go to lesson assignments, it's only going to show you the assignments during this entire unit. So right now we just have part 1 of packet 2 is assigned, right? This is not going to include obviously your Nearpod assignments because those are in a different website, right? But if we went over here to all of our assignments, this should show you all the assignments that we have done. If it has been assigned, right, it is going to say assigned here, right? And if it's in red, that means it's past the due date. If it's in green, you're still good to go, right? Okay, if it has been graded, it'll have a score right here, and then when you when that is graded, if you want to look at the comments that I've made, you click on that, you open it up, right, and the comments will be in that section. So if I would click on this one, if there would be comments, they'd be down here at the bottom, right, of the page. Right, and so this is how you're finding all of your stuff for our particular class, right? It's the same in both of those honors classes, right? And again, if you got questions of where to find stuff, please ask, but I'm trying to make it a little bit easier. We've already gone through 1 unit. At this point, most people should know where to find their materials. All right, so today's notes are going to be on the administrations of John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. All right, so here we have John Adams, the 2nd president. All right, he's only in office for 1 term, 1797 to 1801. All right, while we're doing our notes and everything like that, all right, you can pause during different sections. All right, so you can stop, you can rewind to listen to what I said again. Also, this is a good time to make sure you have out your packet and you can fill in those parts for Adams and Jefferson on your packet and go over the notes as well, right? So today is not just notes, but also working on your packet in class. Right, and so this is what you guys are going to do. And again, ask me questions on Remind, all right, if you need some assistance here and there. This link for this video I'm sending out in Remind for you guys, just because some of the systems are having a little bit of glitchiness this morning, but it's not a big deal, all right, we can handle it. All right, so for Mr. John Adams, all right, let's get into his stuff. Right, so our background on Mr. Adams, we know he was part of the Committee of 5 that was appointed by the Second Continental Congress to write the Declaration of Independence. He was the vice president under Washington, and he is in the party of the Federalists, and that political party favored a strong federal or strong national government. Remember, federal and national mean the same thing, right? And so with this, this is the idea that we are going to see Adams wanting to have this support from the Federalists. We also, so your activity yesterday in Nearpod, you saw that the Federalists were going to be led by Alexander Hamilton. They fear the power of the people, right? They want this strong national government. They're getting a lot of support from merchants and bankers in the North, right? Where the Democratic Republicans, the other party, will be the opposite. Right? And while we're in here, we're going to go ahead and these videos here that I'm have linked in here, I do want you to watch them, but they're going to be in the description down below this video because the audio doesn't really transfer very well when we're doing a live video this way. Right? So then we get Adams vice president. This is Jefferson, right? Jefferson will be vice president because he got second place in this election. So we talked about this with Washington. At this particular time period in history, when you ran for president, first place became president, second place became the vice president, right? Now, this worked out with Washington and Adams because they were both in the same philosophy, right? Even though Washington was neutral, didn't have a political party, he favored more of those Federalist ideas that Adams is going to support. Well, here, Adams is a Federalist and Jefferson is a Democratic Republican, two different parties. That's not going to go very well, right? So again, we got this question, what might happen if the country had a president and vice president from different parties? We again talked about this a little bit in class, like what if this last election, right, you'd had Trump would be president and then Hillary Clinton would be the vice president. That wouldn't work out very well. Might have some really good TV from that, but probably not the best idea. Right now, for our Democratic Republicans, as a review, they favor states to have more power. They favor people to have more rights. So they're the ones that really like that Bill of Rights before, right? And that's what they're going to really focus on. Right now, for Adams' presidency, when we get started here, right, Britain and France are fighting yet again, right? Okay, remember, Britain and France do not like each other at all, right? So this fighting is pretty common, right? And this time there are disagreements on their party lines over who the United States should support. So basically, right, what's happening is that France, after we have our the American Revolution, France is going to have their revolution, right? And during their revolution, they expected the United States to support them because they were giving us support during our revolution. So it was kind of like, hey, you have an alliance with us, you owe us, right? Well, that was going to be the support of the Democratic Republicans. They're like, hey, we should support France because they supported us. The Federalists are like, well, yeah, they helped us out, but we made that treaty with the King of France. The King of France is dead now, so that means our treaty or alliance with them is also dead. And they favored more support from the British because we had more things in common and we traded with them more. So those two political parties that are going to be led by Hamilton and Jefferson are going to be fighting over who should we be supporting, right? Then what's happening here, right? These two groups now are fighting after the revolution and stuff like that. Like who are we going to support here, right? So what comes out of this is we're going to have two laws that are passed by Adams, the Alien and Sedition Act. All right, so they're two different laws, right, but they are smushed together here, right? And these are laws intended to frighten foreigners, specifically the French, okay? So the alien part of this is that the president, so that means Adams, could deport or imprison dangerous aliens or foreigners from the United States. So basically, if you were someone who was from France and you might be suspected of being a spy, right, Adams could deport you, okay? All right, so our little alien guy is that. Right. And then for the Sedition Act is that it forbids people from writing or speaking out against the government, right? This whole idea was at first sounds like it's against these French people that might be having spies in the United States. What actually happens is that this is against people speaking out against the president. Well, we got to back up a little bit. Adams is the president. He's a Federalist. The people that would speak bad about him would be the other party. That's the Democratic Republicans. The leader of the Democratic Republicans is Jefferson, who's his vice president. What? So this law is really against one political party, and that party is being supported by the vice president of the United States. So, scandal, right? Craziness, right? This video here goes into depth of what that means, and again, that video will be linked down below, all right? Okay, so because of this, Adams becomes unpopular because he's causing, fighting back and forth within the country between the two parties. Due to that unpopularity, right, during the election of 1800, right, he will lose to Jefferson. So here, all right, this is only the states that were states at the time, and they are allowed to vote, and so you have all the numbers on them are their electoral points. Right? And so the Electoral College is who decides who becomes president, right? Jefferson got more points than Adams, so he wins, right? Now this election though, because they are two different parties and they work together in the White House, they are not getting along. So this video down here is going to have some creative attack ads between these two guys. Even though it sounds in the video like things are far-fetched, they're actually real things that the two guys talked about with each other. Now remember, these two guys, when they were younger, were in the Committee of Five together writing the Declaration of Independence. So they were friends. Right? Then at this point, since they're from two different parties, they're fighting each other, they hate each other's guts, right? Adams is saying that Jefferson is, he's not from the upper class, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Jefferson saying that Adams is trying to unite us with the British and marry off one of his sons to the British monarchy, right? All sorts of nasty things happening, right? But Jefferson will win the election. Right? So Jefferson's presidency, he'll be in office for 2 terms, so a total of 8 years, so 1801 to 1809. Right? The biggest thing we're going to talk about with Jefferson here is the thing that he's most famous for during his presidency, which is going to be that Louisiana Purchase. But let's do a little bit of background. Okay, so background on him, right? Again, he's from that Committee of Five, so there's Jefferson, right? And then Adams is over here, right? He's vice president under Adams. And then again, he's a Democratic Republican, and so this is just reviewing again what those Democratic Republicans support, right, which is going to be more states controlling things, less federal government control. Right, so his issues with the Louisiana Purchase, right? When you guys were in middle school or elementary school and you talked about the Louisiana Purchase, right, your teachers simplified it a lot, right? Well, we're older, so we have to add more complexity to it, right? So this Louisiana Purchase, right, we should already know it came from France, right? The leader of France at the time was Napoleon. Right, and Napoleon wanted to get out of the Western Hemisphere because there was a revolution that happened in Haiti, and it's costing a lot of money, and then also he's fighting wars over in Europe because he's trying to take over all of Europe. So he needs some money, right, and he's offering to sell this land to us. And Jefferson's all jazzed about this. He's like, yeah, I totally want to have this land. However, he is a Democratic Republican and believes in strict construction of the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't say the president can buy land. So what is he to do? So over here we have Mr. Jefferson thinking, and he's like, well, he could change the Constitution and allow him to do that with an amendment, but that takes a long time. Napoleon might say no after that, right? So what Jefferson ends up doing is he takes Hamilton's ideas from the Federalist Party of loose construction, stretches the Constitution to say, well, the president's allowed to make treaties. What if the treaty's just about land? So he's kind of going against his philosophy of how to view the Constitution in order to get this amazing deal, right? And again, this video down here, right, is going to be in the description down below. It goes over this much more thoroughly, right? So I definitely, of all the videos so far, this one I definitely would watch, right? Because this is a little weird. It's like he's going against what he actually believes in. Right? Now for the actual Louisiana Purchase, it doubles the size of the United States. So the original US was all the pink area over here. Then we add here the purple. And remember, this is not just the state of Louisiana, it's all of this land here in the middle of the country, right? So doubling the size of the country, and also we're going to control both sides of the Mississippi River. So the Mississippi River is right here on this border between the purple and the pink, right? And so since we're controlling land on both sides, that means we control the entire river, and that also includes the port of New Orleans, right, down here in Louisiana, and that means that we're going to be able to trade stuff to other parts of the world, and that means a lot of money for us. So this is an awesome deal. Right? And we also should note that with the Louisiana Purchase is that since that's going to be more farmland, that means his supporters for the Democratic Republicans, they're farmers, they're happy because they have more land. So definitely a win there for Jefferson. And then we know the story, or at least we've heard of parts of the story, of how Lewis and Clark are going to explore the area. All right, they're going to have help from Sacagawea, all right, and they're going to discuss things and talk with native tribes. They're learning about the land, learning what resources are there, what animals, etc. So that is their job, to kind of report back to Jefferson. Right? Okay, that is all we had to do for our notes today. So definitely make sure you're watching those videos that are in those links below, right? And that will help you guys out, right? And I'll talk to you later.